Today we're going to share with you 6 tips we wish we knew when we started our engraving business 10 years ago. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Dwayne.
And we are the owners of Inuky Engraving. So I started an engraving business a little over 10 years ago. It's only been 6 years that we have actually been laser engraving, and we want to share with you tips that we wish that we would have known. We hope that it'll help you grow your business, master your craft, get to the point where you want to be in your business. So the first is going to be settings.
So settings are so important. AP Laser will give you a guide to start with all your lasers for the different settings for power and speed and the depth that you're going to be engraving into your wood.
Or any material.
Yeah. So I think that every machine's got a sweet point. So you got to really find that point with your machine. We've currently now got the AP Laser 2616 and we've got the 4836. But each one of those have different settings. So you can go by that guide. It'll give you that starting point, but you really got to play around with your settings for any machine that you get to make sure that you can find that sweet spot to get that quality engraving.
And Dwayne has really learned that over time, that every material, whether it's wood, acrylic, slate, he might be doing a photo on each of those materials, but each material requires different settings, powers, and depth. Settings is one thing that you really need to master. Don't be afraid to have some trial and error there, because it'll just help you improve your technique.
Absolutely. So number 2 we'll go on to is the software. AP Laser does give you software to start up, which is great. Not all laser companies do that. So we use right now Corel Paint and we use Photograph. So there's hundreds of different software in the market. I've stuck with those. I firmly believe that AP Laser gives you the best software to start with. And if you can play with it, if you can actually get in there and just play around with it, just do different things. And then once you master that, you're going to start making a lot of money. So software is just so important to what you're going to get when you get a good quality engraving.
And in saying that, Dwayne uses these 2 softwares, and then he finishes and gets the engraving ready to be sent to a laser through Lightburn. So Lightburn is another really great software that we use. It's constantly being updated. When we attended our conference in Orlando in January, we got to learn a lot of new things about this software and secondhand information from people that actually know the guy that created software. So that was pretty neat. On top of that, you're going to be using things like, I use Canva. If you want to create your own designs, you can always get free designs online. You can always buy files, but when you're creating your own, again, you're saving money and that cost of hiring outside designers and things like that, and you're just mastering your craft even more. We're going to move on to number 3, which is leaving your laser unattended while engraving. Dwayne has a story for you about that.
So this is so important. You watch any video, it's a safety. People put cameras, you put GoPros on your laser engraver. Really recommended, but never leave your laser to engrave and walk away. Because when we first got our 2616, it still kind of gives me cold shivers today, but we just had that one laser. We invested our savings into it, really just put it out there. We're going to do this. We're going to make this work. So I was engraving a piece of wood and cutting a piece of wood. I didn't know a whole lot about my settings. I didn't know about the range with your leveling, with your focal stick, all those things. Everything has to be level, and how important that it is that I decided to go back out to our shop floor and I smelled smoke. So I'm thinking, well, it's just something burning a little bit on the laser or something like that. I went back into the laser engraving room and the whole piece of wood was on fire. I thought that I was going to salvage it because I did catch it quick, but it actually melted the belts on the laser. And in saying that, the laser head couldn't move anymore, so the belts had to be replaced.
Now, we had waited quite a while for our laser to arrive. So I had ran out, I believe, for coffee, and when I came back, Dwayne was white as a ghost and had to tell me that he just destroyed our first laser engraver, and we were essentially down. So that is a very pro tip for anybody that invests in any kind of laser, whether it's a small one of AP lasers. Do not leave your laser unattended for any amount of time because you just don't know what could happen. We were lucky. We got those bolts sent in. Dwayne was able to replace them with help from tech support. They walked him through the whole process, but had it have been left a little bit longer, say that the wood just was more flammable, who knows what could have happened.
But in saying that, I can't say for all customers, but I've seen it through AP Laser, and why I think that is so great. People do this. They do catch lasers on fire, unusable. AP Laser stepped in. They helped the customer out because that's where I firmly believe is why we went with AP Laser. And what they did for us when we caught ours on fire, it was amazing. The tech support walked us through everything. I got to learn how to change belts on my lasers. So when you're in remote locations, it's just the best thing to do, be hands-on, and just having that support from AP Laser is amazing. So
yes. So on to number 4 is choosing the right material. And we also have a story for this. We have quite a few stories, but I think these ones really stand out because they were in the beginning and could have really been disastrous for us. And we would really like anybody with laser machines to avoid these things. So, choosing the right wood. I do believe that the wood that we had caught on fire at the time was not maple. When you're choosing your wood, you want to make sure it's not the wood that man-made, I guess, that is glued together with a toxic glue inside the wood. That, I believe, is what actually set fire that day. Not so much to do with settings or anything like that, because you can really burn a piece of wood without it catching on fire, but that day it was unlucky. So we picked up the wrong kind of wood. Leaving the laser unattended, obviously, was the biggest mistake. Going from that, when you're using raw materials, you need to make sure that it is safe to use. There are guidelines in the book that tells you exactly what not to ever attempt engraving, but sometimes the wording is a little confusing, especially if you're not used to like abbreviations for certain plastics and things like that. So another time we wanted to build a skate bot, so we called a local store. They had plexiglass. We know now that yes, you can cut plexiglass. You cannot and should not try to engrave it.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, and it's just the chemicals that gets released from that too. I instantly had a headache. Those are things that really do your research when it comes to the materials that you're going to be engraving, whether it's plastics. Don't just assume that you can engrave it because it can be dangerous to your health, number one, and number two, you can cause serious damage to your laser engraver. Don't just go ahead and just assume that you can do it. Plexiglass, number one, you can't engrave it.
It releases this horrible smell. At the time we were in our first shop, it was a basement, and I can remember a customer, there were stairs that they had to walk down, and I could remember hearing them as soon as they hit like the second stair to come down, just talking about the smell. So just that chemical smell, it was not good. So we learned from that on to really research any material that we were going to have in contact with our laser. And we've turned in a lot of business just because you can't just say, yes, I can engrave it. Even if sometimes the engraver will engrave it, it doesn't mean that it's safe, and it doesn't mean that you should. Yeah, but in saying that, there are some plastics that are engravable that JDS sells and some other suppliers. So just do your research on that and just be safe. Moving on to number 5 is going to be taking items from customers for projects that may get lost or damaged in our possession.
So we get a lot of requests from customers, especially, back in the olden days, obviously you didn't have digital photos. So they've got Polaroid photo. They really want to get it engraved on an LED lamp or a cutting board or a slate or whatever it might be. So they'll bring you in that photo. So I've learned the hard way to not take that in an envelope and stick it somewhere and say, I'm going to deal with that later.
Here it's safe. I'll remember where I put it.
Absolutely not. Because I did happen to lose a photo that was really sentimental to a customer. It literally took me weeks to find it. And when I did find it, my heart was back in check again. But those things I never do anymore. So if a customer requests that, no matter what I'm doing, I will take it. I will take my photo with my phone and I'll give it back to the customer, because I don't want to put myself in a situation, other to you, that you're going to lose something that cannot be replaced.
Yeah, sentimental things like that, just do not take the risk with it. We've also had items like jewelry that people dropped off. We had some cake pans with somebody's grandmother's that they wanted engraved. This literally took us moving from our shop to a whole new community to find it. So those things we've learned, like a lot of times we took it, it was fine. There was other times where, yeah, it wasn't good. And that to us is not something that we want to put ourselves through or anybody else. So a tip, just do not take sentimental items and have the chance of losing or damaging. So on to number 6 is going to be how to promote your business using TikTok, YouTube, and word of mouth.
So I think the biggest thing is TikTok and YouTube. Rand just did viral video for TikTok. It's just adding that one video that really got people's attention. We sold a whole lot of that one cup. I mean, TikTok is just an amazing tool to use. If you can get used to TikTok, I don't use it my own self. Luckily, we're a team. Rand does great work with it. And yeah, you can talk a little bit more about the TikTok because
so I've actually had TikTok for a few years now, and I'm guilty. I've had TikTok, but I watched it more than I actually used it. So in the last little bit, I've been trying to be more active on there. I'm still not great. I'm on there. I have quite a bit of followers. We're obviously right here. You see us. We're doing our YouTube. We wanted this year, a big goal of ours was to promote our business more, for the simple fact that we feel like we've established our business, but there are still so many people that don't know what we do. Promoting this year was big for us. We've gotten our boards on arena walls. We're always friends of the ski lodge here, so we have signage up there this year, and we'll be in there again this winter, just promoting. But I think the biggest thing for promotion in any business would be word of mouth. So I always say that every customer is like a bee carrying a piece of pollen from one flower to the next. So that bee comes to us, we give them good customer service, we fulfill their needs, and then they tell a friend that this is where this happened, you can go here. Word of mouth is always number one for us. It's really worked. We have built a lot of relationships over the years, and it continues to grow. So, but promoting your business using social media, being consistent, and just staying true to your values, I guess, and your business, and be real. Like, people really like to see that you're a real person and you're not just trying to sell them something. So
connecting.
Yeah, we're connecting, and we have so many people that check in from time to time that have pieces of mine from when I had a home-based business years and years ago, and they just love to come into our shop and see where we are today. So I think just promoting your business using the right platforms, being consistent, and always remembering word of mouth will go the furthest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that was our 6 tips we really wish that we had known 10 years ago. We have so many more, and we plan on sharing those with you more in the future. If you like this video and our content, subscribe.